and welcome to another episode of The Truth of the Matter. Today with me, I have Kerri Speiser, spiritual life coach, energy healer, and holistic cancer recovery coach. She is also the author of Dear Cancer, I Beat You. Only through love do we truly heal. This book is phenomenal. And Kerri, thank you so much for being here today.
Charmaine, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
So before we started rolling, I was mentioning to you how Source has completely orchestrated this thing, and I was not even aware of it. I don't know if you were consciously aware of it, but a few weeks ago, I shared with you that my father was awaiting biopsy results,
Yes.
and he received them last week, and he
Okay.
does have prostate cancer.
Okay.
So I am doing this podcast with you from a standpoint of sharing information and sharing truth with the
Mhm.
audience, but I'm also doing this from a different point of view to see how I can support him on that journey more.
Yes, cancer
Okay.
affects the loved ones as much as it does the those who are diagnosed with cancer, for sure. Yeah.
So when I first started reading your book, something caught my eye, and I'm sure it's relevant to you because you said so in the book.
Mm.
And the question you posed was, are we reading the book of our life or are we writing it? What does
Yes.
that mean to you?
So we do have come with the soul plan, but we also veer off that plan, and we have the ability to, change things along the path. Um, what we say, what we think, what we do affects our life, and sometimes, when we're not consciously aware of things we say or the emotions we feel, we bring things into our lives that we may not necessarily want, and so when that does happen, we have to understand that we are creators and we have the ability to shift that, to change that. Um, and a lot of times when we get a diagnosis such as cancer or any type of disease, we go down this rabbit hole of more of like feeling helpless and sad and angry and frustrated, which are normal human emotions, but then we have to shift that and become hopeful and be part of our healing journey because we are the only ones that can heal ourselves. The medicine that doctors or holistic or traditional medicine will assist us, but we have to be part of that, healing, because we have to accept the healing and we need to move forward from that. So yes, that quote stuck with me, and I prefer that I'm writing the book of my life moving forward. I look back, I'm like, what did I write so far? But, moving forward now, it feels a little bit, you know, interesting that we can create that.
So although we do come here with a soul plan, we still have free will
Yes. Yes.
and freedom of choice to create different things.
Correct. Absolutely.
So something else that stood out to me was in the book you said that most diseases or diseases in our bodies are caused by our emotions.
Yes.
Could you explain that a little more?
So again, we do create our environment, the thoughts, but a lot of our emotions, once we feel emotions, they do get stuck in our body. And like even cancer, we do have cancer in our body, but we have it in trace amounts. And then when we take on these emotions of fear and anger and stress and resentment and loneliness, it festers and it builds and it grows and it comes out in different ways. Like there's skin conditions, there's cancer, any type of disease. It shows itself if you ignore it long enough. So we need to learn to release any emotions, any negative emotions, and we have different tools to do so, but sometimes we're not aware until when we are, then we have to start using those tools because a lot of people aren't, we're not aware. I wasn't aware for a very long time that I was holding on to a lot of those. And looking back, I can see where, you know, those emotions I just, let sit and in my body. and it showed up, so now, I am more apt to get rid of them when I start feeling those emotions. Yeah.
And what are some tools or what are some techniques to help people release those emotions so they don't fester and then manifest in disease?
Yeah, so awareness is the first thing. Writing release letters are huge to me. I try to do that weekly, if not more. It's just writing a letter to self, to someone who you might have upset you, to cancer. I wrote letters to cancer weekly, and just stating how you're feeling. A lot of it's negative to begin with, that you're not happy about receiving this diagnosis, but then and realizing like it is helping you to grow, helping you to see that there are, wonderful people supportive. There's doctors that are really trying to help you. So kind of shifting it, and then, releasing any conscious and unconscious resentments towards it. And then just like deciding that, I'm not going back to feeling sorry for myself. I'm going to be hopeful. You can't go from, feeling desperate to feeling joy about it. But if you can be a little bit hopeful and go through each, a treatment, each doctor's appointment, and feel a little bit like hopeful that this is going to work, it will assist you in healing. Um, and then we have, as far as just being grateful, meditation is huge. Quieting the mind it heals your body. Praying out loud to source. I mean, I've said many prayers.
Mhm.
That there's so many different tools and techniques that that I have listed in the books that are able to assist. You know.
So there was also a theme that I noticed in the beginning of the book where it almost seemed like you felt bothered or irritated with going to
Yeah.
checkups or going to the doctor, going to the
Mhm.
exams. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of not neglecting the physical portion
Yes.
of your being?
Yes. Yes. um, I was like, I'm taking care of myself. This will never happen to me. And so, it is important, awareness that when you ignore something, it grows. Like I said, the emotions, so getting checkups, it's information, and you want to get the information. And then you can move forward from there. But yes, I wasn't one to go to doctors. I felt like they, had an agenda. They just wanted to give you a pill. They wanted to give you, a diagnosis to then keep sick people sick, which that isn't the case. Doctors, nurses, they go into that to help people, and you have to do some discernment and investigation for yourself, whether it's exactly right for you. When I first went and was diagnosed, like it took me a while to go back because I did go, and they scared me like 7 years prior to that, I had breast cancer, and then it was like, oh no, you have dense breasts. So I'm like, okay, like that's it. I'll be fine. Well, 7 years later, that wasn't the case. So it was very, important to get that checkup. I was divinely guided to get there for that checkup. So I am so grateful for that, because I would probably not be here if I had not done that. Um, and then even just, the chemo radiation, I was resistant, and I realize now that, taking care of my health, sometimes you have to surrender to things that you may or not really want to do, but will help you in the long run.
I think that is something that a lot of people struggle with.
Mhm.
I used to say, if I'm not dying, if I'm not bleeding right now, I'm not going to the doctor. And
Right.
I know a lot of people feel like it's a waste of time. They feel like, just like you, they just want to put you on medications and
Mhm.
keep you in the loop and never really help you to get healthy. But clearly, the universe was trying its hardest to get you to the hospital. And
Yes.
clearly, it was for good reason. And you're sitting here because you beat cancer, because you did follow those nudges. And even
Mhm.
when you did not want to go, you still went to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So, was there ever a moment when you realized that healing wasn't just about eliminating the cancer, but becoming a different version of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, it was changing my mindset, changing my habits of, you know, getting frustrated over the smallest things, getting, like aggravated, like just feeling sorry for myself. You know what I mean? I just like life gets in the way and life is tough sometimes, but I realize really life's a gift. If we what we look for, we find. And, every moment is a gift. I just appreciate the days waking up. I'm grateful every morning. The minute I wake up, I thank Source God for everything I have. For the day, for a roof over my head, water, running water, coffee, my cats, my daughter, like things could be worse, so we're really blessed, a lot of us. And even if we might be lacking something in our mind, think of all the things you have instead of the lack, because whatever you bring your attention to. And then I just thank my body. No, it may not be the exact shape I want sometimes, but I'm grateful it moves, it functions. I'm very grateful for everything, that I have, because there are people that don't, so we have to be grateful, and we come here for experiences. Um and I'm just, looking for the gift in every day, the joy in every day, even if it's this tiny little thing, because if you look for, negative, you'll find more of that, and I don't want to look for that anymore, you know.
Well, the shape looks very nice.
Well, thank you.
And so you would say gratitude played an important role in your healing process.
Gratitude and positive self-talk. I think that was my own worst enemy a lot of times. I was hard on myself. I was always wanting to do better, and be better and get more. And, you're in the rat race of life that you have to keep striving. And like especially in New Jersey, we don't stop moving. And I'm like, no, I've learned to take it slower. I've learned to walk in nature instead of like, how many steps did I get? How fast? No, I appreciate the flowers, the animals, the birds, the trees. And it's just quieting the mind, slowing down the body, and appreciating, this human life that we're having. And it's beautiful. It really is, makes a difference.
And for the people who say, let's say someone was just diagnosed, whether it
Hmm.
was cancer, diabetes, whatever, and they say, I don't have anything to be grateful for. Why would I be grateful if I have this illness or if I have this disease?
Yeah.
What is something that you can give them to assist them with finding gratitude?
I think it's just going within, just really like loving yourself, because you can shift that. This is a moment in time. It's just an indication of where your physical may be at, or and you can shift the physical, the mental, emotional, your spirit, let that come forward, and you can get through anything. We get, and it really just takes love. That's why the book is Only Through Love Do We Truly Heal, and it's loving yourself mostly. And it's not easy. I agree. And there are baby steps. And just every day get up, show up for yourself, and give yourself some grace. I did have a lot of tools, again, like I said, crystals. I did sound healing, listening to music that's uplifting, um, listening, to a lot of tuning forks. I Reiki, you're a Reiki master teacher. Um, Learning that and using that on myself all the time. I mean, it's just shifting energy, shifts the mind and the emotions, and then will shift the physical.
So don't look for the shift to happen physically first.
No, no, it has
Yeah,
to,
I think that's where
it
a lot
has.
of people, yeah, slip up.
Like, because I'll be happy when, right? I'll be happy when I'm this weight. I'll be happy when the cancer is gone. But part of it is being happy or being hopeful while that's happening.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of people have it backwards, but the way you just explained it is perfect. That's exactly the way that things truly shift. You don't see them tangibly before you
Right.
feel them and you shift them energetically.
Absolutely.
Now, you also talked about shame and feeling tainted and all different kinds of emotions that came up for you when you were diagnosed. What other limiting beliefs surfaced for you that kind of surprised you?
Well, at first I wanted to blame, someone, something else outside of me. You know, uh, Emotionally, I know it was fear, it was anger, it was loneliness, rejection. And I was in a couple of relationships that were a little bit difficult, and one in particular, and I'm like, I let that person get to me, but it was I let that person get to me. They didn't do anything. So if it was that, or feeling lack of feeling like, that's on me. That's not on someone else. It's not the outside world. At first, I'm like, is it the food I'm eating? But it's how we, like, you can eat something and feel guilty. You can eat something and feel pleasure. It's really shifting the tiny littlest things, So obviously, everything in moderation, everything, So at first I was just like, I just felt dirty. I felt like, get this out, I just want it to be gone, And I was embarrassed almost, I'm like, now I'm never a person that doesn't have cancer. It's like a statistic. But now now I'm just like, this was just another thing I experienced, but it was huge. A lot of people, not everybody is meant to stay. One of my best friends passed away from rectal cancer a few years before that, and her sole plan was to leave this earth, and she was okay with it, which it's harder for us, I think, left behind. But she handled it beautifully. She fought, she did her treatments, but in the long run, it didn't she didn't survive. But we know she shifted somewhere, her energy, to something else. So
So my mother also passed from breast cancer.
mhm,
And in the midst of it, I was just sad. I was like
mhm,
10 years old. I was
yeah,
sad, I was crying. But to hear you speak of it and that the soul chose
mhm,
and that was her exit point. What
yes.
do you feel was the gift that she left behind for her family with that?
Control is an illusion, compassion, love, because now you have, see all the love that and the memories that she created, with family and friends, and just, the impact that she had on so many people's hearts, it will never go away. So I just feel like, appreciation of life, you know, just just more like we realize that, life is precious and people are precious to us, and we should show more love and compassion while everybody's here. And and we know, that she's like shifted. So we know afterlife, or that they what goes on. But for here, it is hard for people that don't understand that. And I just feel though, like, at least they know that how much this their loved one was loved, and that how much of an impact they showed on this world.
And even in hindsight now, I feel like it definitely gave the gift of acceptance.
Hmm.
Because, like you said, control is an illusion.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to accept the things that are completely out of your control.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a good perspective, Carrie.
Yeah. Like I
So,
said,
did you did
yeah.
you or did you have spiritual beliefs before you were diagnosed, and how did they evolve throughout your journey?
So I did. I was on my spiritual journey when I was diagnosed. And I have to say, everything I learned almost went right out the window for a few minutes. I was like, why me? Why me? Why me? What the fuck? Excuse my language. Like, what is going on? But I had a wonderful spiritual life coach and mentor, Colleen Brindley, owning Infinite Healing Wellness in New Jersey. And she took me back down. We kind of like just kind of spoke through, and I just taking it one day at a time, using the tools that are at her center, that I have that available to me at any time, and just realizing that this, we go through life and there's ebbs and flows, and there's experiences, and some things you know we have to get through. And I don't want to say like, oh, just get through cancer. It was devastating. It was horrific. But it was also, I did have like, okay, I'm healing. There's no other option. What do we do? So I was set in my mind. I had my daughter who was my caretaker, and she made me so proud because she stepped in. Like, I realized, wow, I really raised a wonderful human being, and she just was there for me every step of the way, and so supportive, as was my family, my friends, my spiritual family. So I had so much love and prayer around me. And I just realized, like, okay, praying, prayer works, especially when you have groups of people praying for you. It's an amazing, wonderful tool that it works. So
Yes.
I was very uplifted, from that.
So you spoke a little earlier about surrender. What
Mhm.
role did surrender play in your healing journey? And how did you balance surrender with aligned action?
Yes. So again was fighting, like, okay, I have, this tumor in my breast, take it out and forget about it. Let's go. Well, modern treatment at this point does chemotherapy first to make sure that that type of medicine will shrink the tumor, and then they'll take it out. But they know that if any rogue cells, I guess, spread, even though they tested the lymph nodes and it didn't spread. So I was a little bit, okay, well, it didn't spread. So why do I need this? But no surgeon would do the, operation without chemo first. And I was like, I'm not getting chemo. I'm not getting chemo. Okay. And then what you resist persists, as someone tells me all the time. And so I had to surrender. But it wasn't until I really did a lot of discernment and investigation on my own. I talked to my chemo doctor, and she wanted me to go for 21 treatments. And we wound up having conversations upon conversations. And I wound up having to only go for four. So we really used, you know, I, I definitely had to advocate for myself and just know what was best for me. Did a lot of meditation, prayer on it, and figuring out what was best. But so I had to surrender that chemo was a thing. And then when you get to the point, like the least amount that I should worry about was like, okay, am I gonna shave my head or losing all that hair in the shower? And it was real, and I came very close, and my hair got very, very thin. I thought I looked great. I look at pictures now, I laugh, but it grew back amazing. But again, that was like the least. But as a woman, we want to look nice, and it's tough. It's, you go through so many things. I thought I looked okay, but you definitely can see how you know the chemo medicine does. It works on the body. But I was able to use tools such as ionic foot detox that we offer, and that removes toxins from your body. So the day prior to chemo, I would use that, and then so that way I get toxins out of my body to allow for the medicine to work, the chemo, and then I would allow that to work, and then I would do another foot detox. So I was always trying to detox my body. I was using my tuning forks daily. I was using Reiki daily. So I was, along with the traditional medicine, I was utilizing, like, I was surrounding myself in a healing place at all times. Music, Reiki, just really trying to be in a positive environment so I can let my body heal, giving myself some grace and relaxing. I would still exercise though. And that was, I think one of the nurses said, he said that was key because a lot of people don't, and I was like, no, I might be tired, but I'm just going to keep moving my body because your body needs the support. So supporting each, the mental, physical, and emotional, so your spirit can come and help you heal.
Now, what would you say to someone who doesn't want to do chemotherapy? They want to go the all holistic route, or they don't want to try any holistic therapies. They want to just go straight Western
Yeah.
medicine.
I would say there always should be a balance. It's really up to you to discern, but I really recommend, a balance of both. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical. I would never tell anybody not to get chemotherapy. I would definitely research it and see what is best for your body. And same thing with the radiation, because once it was radiation time, I already had chemo and a lumpectomy. I said, I'm cancer free. Like, why should I get radiation? And this
Mhm.
poor doctor gave me the whole history of radiation because my mother did have cancer. And when she got radiation, she has burn marks on her back from it because that's how years it was ago. It was like that. Now it's these, pin red, like, laser looking things. And I did it, and it was just to insure. It was like an insurance policy that it won't come back. And for me, I want to live. I got a lot to do still in this lifetime. And
Yes.
I know I can heal through whatever the chemo may have done to my body, whatever the radiation may have. I visualize my cells healing. I visualize being healthier. So to someone who doesn't, I think if you don't use holistic tools, you're it's something that is open to you and mostly free, you know what I mean? So why not? Why I would use anything at this point. I was ready to heal. And yes, it took me to surrender to do the traditional medicine, but the doctors, like I said, the nurses, they were incredible, and it was an interesting journey. But I don't wish it on anybody, but it was interesting. And I look back, and they really are trying to help you. They're trying to heal you, and you have to accept the healing. That's all.
So you accepted the healing, and hello, you did it.
Yes.
Looking
Yes.
back now in
Mhm.
hindsight, were there things or habits that you feel were keeping your body from thriving?
Just I emotionally like taking on i- just too much and just letting it fester, letting it just sit there, and letting things bother me that I had no control over. The thoughts that I would tell myself, just looking at the negative instead of the positive. It just really makes a difference on your body. Sure, I could have eaten less desserts. Physically, sure, I could. I mean, I always exercise. I always enjoyed that, so that wasn't really the issue for me. But because movement, your body does need movement. Everything gets stagnant otherwise. So I enjoy that. That is a big thing for some people. And it is, once you get moving, it's easier to move than when we're sitting down. We're like, oh, do we have to get up? But I promise you, like, just walk. And if you walk a little further every day, well, but as far as it was all mental and emotional, and I just
Mm.
I didn't know any better. We're kind of taught and programmed, and we become like in the role in our family, the role in society, and our jobs, and we not that it's like we don't know any better until we know better. And then once we do
We
better.
did it.
And yes, there are times I slip and I'm like, okay, get back at it. You know what I mean? And just then I'm like, okay, what are the tools when I'm like, not that I never get sad or angry. I do. But what are the tools then to shift that? So that's when I use like the release oil, like a lot of like essential oils, crystals, like anything with a high vibration, I try to, utilize to shift the feelings.
That's what I always tell people because for some reason people feel like if we are spiritual life coaches, then we have it all figured out and everything is just smooth sailing. I'm like, no, life still happens to us.
Life
We just
happens.
are equipped with the tools and the knowledge to
Hmm.
shift the energy so that we don't spiral out of control.
Right. Right. And shifting perspective to begin with. But then, yes, when things happen, we have the tools to shift quicker. Not going to
Yeah.
say we're not going to sit in it for a minute or two or not,
Yeah, we're human.
and that's why we release. That's why we, and that's what, we accept. I think we're more accepting of other people, and we, sending love to people. I pray for, the people every day, and not just the ones that I want to help, the ones that, you look at and say, what an asshole. But you know what? Send them love, because,
They
we're all
need
the
more
same deep
prayer.
down. Yep. We're all the same deep down. And that's the most important thing. And it's a better way to go through life. It's just more enjoyable.
So it sounds like the journey of healing from cancer is an emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
When was there a moment where you decided I'm gonna beat this. I can heal, I will heal. What was that moment? What contributed to that belief?
I think just being around my daughter, I'm like, she's young. I'm not going anywhere. I want to experience life with her and watch her, experience life and just be part of that journey. That was like the number one person that, and then I realized, I heal, I assist others. I was, guided to write this book, and I want to be able to make someone's journey a little bit easier, someone, give them a little bit of information or tools that they may not have had, that I was blessed and lucky enough to have to utilize. Um, I see so many people go through, without knowledge, and they're doing the best they can. And if we can help, others on this journey, that's, so rewarding.
Now, Kerri, if healing were a person and
Mm.
they were the third party in this conversation that we're having right now, what do you think healing would say that most people are missing?
Healing's all from within. It is inside you. You have the power, you have the tools. Just really sit and quiet the mind, quiet the body, and listen to your spirit come forward. Listen, to the voices, the loving voice within, not the mental. Sometimes not as that's not as loving as it should be. But just really, quiet yourself and feel, your body relax, and know that it has the tools within it. I mean, like we say, if we get a cut, your body, you could see it, it heals itself. Now,
Mhm.
sometimes we need assistance. If it's deeper, you might need a stitch. If it's cancer, you might need chemotherapy. But we do have to accept the healing. We do have to be the ones that create that. And that was very important, to know that, because everybody wants a magic pill. Everybody wants the doctor to heal me, cure me, fix me. Not everybody, I shouldn't generalize, but a lot of people. But we just really know that it's within us, and it's wonderful, and it's tough at the same time because it is us, and we have to
Yeah.
do it. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, but yeah.
And an important thing to remember is the healer can't heal you, the doctor
Nope.
can't heal you,
Nope.
no one can heal you but you.
Exactly.
So, for anyone who is out there today and they're going through uh, a cancer journey, trauma, whatever it is that they're going through, what is one thing that they can do today, put in action today, and then build upon that every day on their journey to healing?
Meditate first thing in the morning. Get up, state gratitude before your feet hit the floor. Be grateful that you woke up, and then find a quiet place, sit quietly, with open eyes, at least 5-10 minutes a day. Like, your body, nothing is that important that you can't be 5-10 minutes late to. I always say, because it is that important, And then you start the day in a calm state, and then you can deal with anything. But building on that practice is, I think, so important. You know.
So, just to backtrack a little, you said to listen to that inner voice. A
Mhm.
lot of people's mental is running that show. That's the inner voice. How can they
Yes.
differentiate what's from spirit versus what's from the mental?
Spirit's always loving, always, positive, always supportive, always, um, kind and joyful, and you'll never hear a negative word through your spirit. Your soul is, perfect, and you're perfect, and you know, let that come out. The mental will might steer you in the wrong direction at times, and but if it's loving, that's where the spirit's coming out.
Okay, that's good. I think that'll help people
Yeah.
kind of differentiate. Well, is this my spirit or is this my mental? So yeah, that's good. Um, I really truly appreciate you doing this. I do have one final question
Mhm.
before I go, before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
For the family and the loved ones of the
Mm-hmm.
person who is experiencing a dis-ease,
Hmm.
how can they support the person or their
Yes.
healing.
And that comes in different ways at different times. When I was first diagnosed, some of it I wanted to process.
Mhm.
So many people were like, talk to this one, talk to this one, talk to this one. They have, and I was like, I didn't want to be part of a cancer club, if you would. I'm like, let me figure this out. And not that you can figure it out, but I was trying. But, sending love, but asking what they need,
Mhm.
really following the the loved ones, they're a real person. Look at them like they're a whole person, not that they're just a cancer patient. Just
Mhm.
send them love. It's not always the thing you want to focus on, because sometimes when you focus on something, that's what gets bigger. But focusing them as a
Right.
whole person, sending them love, doing nice things. People would just drop off soup or, different things and like not come in, not, just a text, a phone call. It's not always having so much because it's a lot to process. It's a lot to do, but being there for like different things, like, do you want to go for a walk? Can I, go out for a meal? Some people, are too sick to eat it sometimes, but something like my daughter had created a huge bag of goodies for me, like games and puzzles and things like that. So to keep me busy during my appointments, like at chemo, sitting there, so just uplifting things, but just following their lead, and giving them some grace because it's rough, and they may not always be in the best place and it will not be well received, but it's not personal. So
Mhm.
just never give up, giving them love, send them love from afar. Energy travels, it works from anywhere, but simple, kind, grateful, like just anything that, coming from a place of love will be, understood that it's coming from there.
Well, folks, you heard it from a true spiritual warrior herself, Kerri Speiser, spiritual life coach, cancer recovery coach, and author of Dear Cancer, I Beat You. Tell the people where they can find you if they want to work with you and where they can get your book.
Sure. Um, Amazon, you could buy the book at, Dear Cancer, I Beat You, Only Through Love Do We Truly Heal. Um, my website, you can go to iammindful.net. All the information is in the book. And Kerry's Healing Connections on social media. You can connect with me, and I'd love to, have a conversation with anyone that would like to.
All right. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. And until next time, remember it is your right and your responsibility to create a life that you love, deserve, and desire.